Good afternoon and welcome to Not the Normal City Extra program with Peter Levy. In today's show, Sir Robert Mark on road safety, Fanny Craddock on cooking with hedgehogs, and crime prevention with Constable Savage of the SPG. That's what's coming up. But first, some music from one of my very favourite bands.
Excuse me, Mr. Atkinson, this is my show.
One moment, listeners. We have a small problem. It's about 4'8" and shaking violently. Can I help you?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind getting out of my chair. You're not supposed to be here for half an hour.
Oh, fine, okay. I'll step aside, don't you worry. I will vacate this terribly important chair and give way to the vastly superior brain of top presenter and outstanding radio personality, Peter Levy. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the man you've all been waiting for, your friend and mine, Mr. Wonderful, Peter Lamentable Levy. Take it away, Pete.
Thank you.
Go on then, say something.
This is The Drifters.
Oh, good.
Well, you've already had a sneak preview of my special guest on City Extra this afternoon. I suppose you could say he is to news and current affairs what Sweeney Todd is to hairdressing. When he appears on television, nobody is safe. Politicians, pop stars and presidents, they've all been targets for his hilarious brand of humour in that highly popular programme, Not the 9 O'Clock News. The series is due to return to our screens in January, but before that he'll be in Liverpool in 3 weeks' time in his own show at the city's Royal Court Theatre, which I'm sure will be a sellout. Rowan Atkinson, good afternoon, welcome to the programme.
Nice to be here.
How's the show going? You were in Manchester last week, weren't you?
It's good. It's a very much. It's basically. We said stammering a lot. It's basically an up-tempo version of what we did in the West End earlier this year at the Globe Theatre for 13 weeks from February, and it's like a zappier version of that. I mean, it sounds a bit patronising to say that you're going to come on tour to the provinces with a zappier version of what you did in the West End of London. But it is more up-tempo, it has more music and a bit more lively, but hopefully as intelligent
Good.
as before.
That was about the time that you came into City Extra last time, wasn't it? It was about February or March, something like that.
Yes, that's right.
And you came back?
I came back. Yes, that's right. Oh, I've been back twice. Wrecking the theatre and things like that.
You didn't drive here in your truck, did you? Because you really do like trucking, don't you?
Yes, I do indeed. I do indeed. I will be no, I'm not sure I'll be driving here in my truck. It's a 6-city tour that we're doing, and which is going to Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, Newcastle, and Chichester, and Coventry, and places like that. And I am and. The size of the show, even though it's a one-man show, it actually has a substantial set and lighting and sound equipment and everything else. In fact, the truck that is required to carry this load of junk around is actually very large, and I am going to be driving it on certain selected scheduled occasions. I think I'm going to be driving from Coventry to Newcastle when we do that run, and then from Newcastle to Chichester I'm going to do those drives, and I'm going to do the first drive to Birmingham, but the overnight drives between Liverpool and Manchester and things, Liverpool and Coventry, I'm going to leave to another driver.
So what did you do? Decide, I want to get a heavy goods vehicle licence to go out and learn? Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yes, I mean, there are various stages of heavy goods vehicle licensing. There's the Class 3, Class 2 and Class 1, and I did the Class 2 about 18 months ago, and then I never thought I was ever going to find another fortnight to do the Class 1, which is the sort of biggest, and is for the Arctics, the ones that bend in the middle. And I thought I was never going to find a fortnight to do the Class 1, but in July some filming scheduling was changed, and suddenly I found a fortnight spare, so I immediately rang up the nearest HGV training school and got myself on, and I got it.
What on earth do they say when you say, hello, it's Rowan Atkinson here, will you teach me to drive a lorry?
Well, it's one of those funny things, like if you don't expect to see a television person in a heavy goods vehicle training school, then people don't recognise you at first, because they look at you and they think, oh, that guy looks just like Rowan Atkinson. But obviously it can't be, because otherwise he wouldn't be here. And then a day or two later, someone just sort of wanders up to you and says, you're not Rowan Atkinson, are you? And you say yes. Oh, God! Both of you are. Oh, we all thought you were, but we thought we couldn't possibly be. So, not much recognition at first, and then suddenly it dawns on.
Have you got any other strange hobbies? While we're on the subject of it.
Lots. I love all kinds of music, but one of my stray hobbies is drumming. I've been an amateur drummer for about 3 years now. I started learning while I was at Oxford from a friend of mine who's actually the drummer on tour this year, and since then I've been trying to keep in practice. I managed to buy my own drum kit in February this year, so I've got it downstairs in my house, and I annoy the neighbours a tremendous amount late into the night. So that's another small silly
Not quite
hobby.
as strange.
It's not quite.
Not the 9 o'clock news must be one of the most often repeated shows on television. It was on again only last week. How does it feel having one of the most familiar faces in Britain?
It's always a very difficult question, because I mean, it depends from day to day. It depends where you are and what you're doing. It depends if you're in a good mood or a bad mood. If you're in a good mood and people come up to you and say, "I like the programme," or "Will you sign this bit of paper?" then it can be quite fun and quite enjoyable, and you feel as though perhaps you've achieved something after all. But then if you're in a bad mood, people usually come up to you most like when you've just missed a train, and you're standing in the middle of the railway station going, damn, 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 and then someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, are you Rowan Atkinson? will you sign this little bit of paper?" And you say, yes, all right, yes. And you're, and they, it's when they catch you in standing in a public place, and that's the problem.
Rowan, how would you describe your face?
It's a face that lay dormant for 21 years, and then about 5 years ago, while I was at Oxford, it suddenly started to be exercised a lot more than it ever had been in the past, and I suddenly found that I did seem to have a face that could express and indeed contort into comedic expressions. I don't know how to describe my face. People say it's very flexible, but I almost don't notice it. Strangely enough. I mean, I try and keep it as normal as possible, I can assure you, off screen or off stage. What do you think? Looking at my face now.
What do I think?
What do you think about my face?
I don't know.
There you are, you see. Well, I look in a mirror and I say the same thing.
Do you practice in front of a mirror?
No, not. I mean, I did at first. But I don't think about it now. I mean, I find that if I think of a character, and a lot of the characters I do think of and enact do tend to be rather extreme. So, the face tends to be extreme in response to that. But then, I mean, if you could look at my left big toe, you'd probably find it contorting in a similar manner. You'd be amazed how the whole body starts to twist and contort.
Well, we'll give that one a miss, shall we?
Yes, that's right. Not here.
You mentioned 40 Towers a few minutes ago. What type of things make you laugh? What television would you watch to make you laugh?
I watch very little television. It's always an embarrassment when we come up with ideas on Not 9 O'Clock News to parody certain television programmes, and frequently, I mean, no one on the programme has actually heard of the programme that someone else is thinking of parodying, and everyone has to admit that actually they haven't seen it. I in terms of comedy, I watch extremely little on television. I'm obviously 40 Towers is for me the best thing in the last 10 years. Apart from that, it really is just films. There's not much in situation comedy that I would voluntarily watch.